Welcome back to Season 8 of the Whole Horse Podcast. I'm your host, Alexa Linton, coming to you from Vancouver Island, Canada. Thank you all for your support and listening over the last 7 years and for your willingness to think outside the box about all things horses. This season, we'll continue to push the edges of our understanding of horses and what keeps them their healthiest and happiest with the help of some very special guests, including some of my most important personal mentors. So happy to have you back and along for the ride. Let's get started. Hi, everyone, and welcome back. We're here for the Whole Horse Podcast, and we're nearing the end of Season 8, but I've got some goodies coming for this last part of the season as we close off, and today is absolutely no exception. I reached out to this gal because I saw some of her posts on some intersections that I've been so curious about that we're going to dive into today. And we're going to share a little bit about that in a moment. But first off, I want to really welcome you wholeheartedly, Barbara. Thank you for
Thank
being on the
you.
podcast.
Thank you. I am very excited to be here.
So I always do a little tiny Coles Notes moment at the beginning of like, for anybody out there that's like, who are you? What's going on? So can you give us just a real briefer
Sure.
here of your work and yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a physical therapist. I'm in the US. I'm in Tennessee. So I'm a physical therapist here. That means human training first, and then I did equine training on top of that. So I see mostly horses now, but can see horse and rider, which I think brings a really fun element to it. But I also do a lot of positive reinforcement training, which I think is one of the biggies we'll talk about today, which I'm very thrilled about.
Yay.
And I have a track system, and I have horses come here for rehab, and then I travel around and go see people, and I teach stuff online, and yeah, I do
Yeah.
a lot of different things.
Amazing. I feel, yeah, like right away when I saw your post, I was like, I gotta talk to this gal.
Oh, it's the best.
Track
Yeah.
systems and
Yeah.
body
I feel like we're
work and
we're totally on the same page. It's a
totally.
great feeling.
So, yeah, as you shared, one of the pieces that I'm super curious about is this intersection between R plus or positive
Mhm.
reinforcement training and rehab and body work because I have been playing probably rather poorly with R plus training, but getting there
Yeah.
on my own
Yeah.
journey with it. And I am a kind of combo trainer. I don't really prescribe to one thing, but I have found that R plus in terms of working in a space of de-escalating the nervous
Mm.
system,
Yeah.
settling the horse,
Yeah.
creating cooperation and connection seems to be so
Yeah.
supportive on
Yeah.
that level. Can you
Yeah.
share just a little
Mhm.
bit about like, yeah, how you came to
Yeah.
that kind of crossing of worlds, shall we call
Yeah.
it?
Yeah. Yeah. And exactly what you're speaking to is, I think, what brought me here, right? So I started positive reinforcement training. It's only been like 5 years ago. It has not been that long. But I was a PT. I was starting to see horses. A lot of my job is retraining and teaching new movement patterns or getting rid of old compensations or changing the horses, hopefully changing their feelings about training because maybe they've developed behavioral issues or whatever related to pain. And, I was doing all of that with my old negative reinforcement skills, my natural horsemanship, pressure
Yep.
release, the normal stuff everybody does. And I just felt like I was missing something there. I didn't know what it was. I just, a horse in pain and then you're trying to pressure them into doing something and I was like, it's just not quite what I want to be doing. I didn't feel like it was as effective and I didn't feel like I was getting through to the horse in exactly the way I wanted to. I have my own horses. I have one who trained very easily, I guess,
Yep.
with natural horsemanship, except for he was, I'm gonna say, quote unquote, lazy. Like people were
Yep.
teaching me to ride with two dressage whips all the time and like to get him motivated. And it worked for him. He never gave me, he wasn't bucking me off. He gave me no reason to try other things other than the fact that again, like in the back of my head, I was like, is this really the way I want to interact with him all the time? I don't know. That still did not fully change me into doing anything differently. I have a mare a red mare who fits all the red mare stereotypes, unfortunately for her, who did not respond very well to pressure, especially escalating pressure. So she is the one that really kind of sent me looking for alternatives. And just as luck would have it, I had a client who called me out to help her with her horses for bodywork purposes. And she trains Mustangs with all positive reinforcement from gentling through riding. She showed me that there was another way and that it could do all of these things that all of my clients need to do no matter what it is. And that just opened my eyes to this whole new world. And I started dabbling in it and I was terrible at it and it was really hard because I'm supposed to be the professional that's like fixing your problems and now I'm also a beginner. So that was a moment of challenge for me, but I was so convinced that it was going to work because I had, I had this friend now who was mentoring me. I had found online teaching things that were helping me find my way. And the more I did, the more benefits I started to see. And that just now I'm like fully down the rabbit hole and it's my primary way of training literally anything at this point because it's the best.
I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I remember back to when I started positive reinforcement. I also remember how horrible I was at it. But it was with a mare
Yeah, yeah.
named Dream, and she had
Mm.
come from a super traumatic background,
Oh,
and the
yeah,
pressure stuff was
yeah.
like not a thing.
Got it.
Not a thing, and made
Yeah.
everything very much worse. And it was
Yeah.
like, I remember it's so funny, like before the our time together, and I've already shared this with Barbara, I decided to pull a card from the Council of Horses Oracle because I it's a good way to ground, to just like, okay, which card wants to come forward? And I just shuffled and breathed and shuffled and breathed. And then this, literally the Council of Horses cards, the Concilium Equorum, came forward, which is what the deck was named for, which is essentially what we really bring or are bringing to the collective of horses and how they support us as well. And there's those moments, I think, that you can resonate with this,
Mm,
where you are on a path. Like with Dream, I was on this path and I brought her to this barn. And somehow my neighbor at this new barn was just learning clicker training.
mm.
Like it just
Mhm,
felt like
mhm.
this, like, how did
Yeah,
that happen?
yeah,
And
yeah,
was like, I can totally help you. I'd
yeah.
love to.
Just when you needed that help,
Just when I
that
needed it.
happened to
Gives me
arrive. Yeah.
goosebumps, right? Like it
Mhm.
was just like, oh my gosh, okay, yeah. And she taught me sort of the basics of the work. And interestingly enough, at the time I was doing a lot of body work with Dream, because she had physical uh, scars and other
Sure,
things on
sure.
her being, from her past, and a lot of body talk and a lot of other things. And so I was weirdly incorporating, even at
Mm,
that point, the
yeah,
positive
yeah,
reinforcement. And that positive reinforcement saved my butt because I would pony her out on Diva,
yeah,
and we live in a rainforest. So there's trees, like big trees everywhere.
yeah.
And every now and again, Dream would go on one side of the tree
Yes.
and I would go on
I
the
see where this
other.
is
And I
going.
wouldn't realize until like like it was too late. And I'd
Yeah,
have to let go of the rope. And I
yeah.
remember this one day, it was such a moment because she was like, I'm going to head back to the barn. Like she's loose. I'm going to head back to the barn. I'm like, please don't. And she turned one ear to me,
Mm,
just one ear. And I clicked her
hmm.
and she walked back to me. She's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
what do you got?
yeah.
And I was like,
Oh, that's awesome.
okay,
I
this
love
stuff is
that.
amazing.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, that's what it has brought to me is like there's this very clear communication from
Yeah,
a distance where they are motivated by me bringing good stuff into the situation rather
totally.
than fear of me or avoiding something that they know is coming. Like it just, the whole energy around the interaction changes at that point. And
Ugh,
yeah,
yeah.
it's magical. It's
It's so magical.
yeah.
I still remember that moment and be like, she's walking towards
Yeah.
me. What is even
Yeah.
happening? Because I'd been from the natural horsemanship
For
background
sure.
of like, you chase them when they go, and
Yeah.
like that
Yeah.
doesn't work. We're in a
Yeah,
forest.
you're like, what am I gonna do? Chase them
Like,
back to the barn? I don't know.
like,
Not
yeah,
a good idea.
not a
Yeah.
good idea.
Mhm.
So I just, yeah, I love that. So can you tell us a little bit? So, with this very specific intersection with like
Mm,
rehab or body work, what
mhm.
are some of the ways that you consistently use positive reinforcement in that
Sure.
space to maybe support a session or support a
Sure.
horse into,
Mm.
I don't know, a better treatment or a
Yeah.
better outcome?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a number of ways, right? So when we're talking about positive reinforcement, most of the time we're talking about clicking and feeding. So there's food involved. To me, I mean, that's most of how I think about it. But then when I'm doing body work, I usually don't have food involved because I want the horse focusing more
Totally.
internally. And when the food's there, they tend to have more of that external focus. It just is going to happen. So in those scenarios, I try to think of my body work as being positively reinforcing.
Yeah.
Everything I do should be making them feel better physically or emotionally or whatever. So if I start to feel them tense up or they put their ears back or they're telling me to wait, I am super, super specific now about listening to that, backing off, taking a breath, and coming back in. And in that way, they can start to understand like, yes, she is listening. Yes, her goal is to make me feel better. She's not going to blast past my thresholds. And then we can kind of build that communication without food being present. And then hopefully, what I'm doing makes them feel better. So we
Yeah.
are reinforcing in that way. And then when we're training with food, there's a few really important things there. And the first one that I think a lot of people miss and that a lot of horses have trouble with from past experiences in their lives, whether we recognize it or not, is having emotional regulation themselves around food. And especially around food that a human is handing to me. Because a lot of us have accidentally, myself included in the past, created cookie monsters who learn to frisk you
Yeah.
and then
And
they
mug
get the
you.
and then
Yeah.
they're just crazy and it can be really unsafe and the horse is not calm or
No,
regulated
they're
in those
not.
moments.
They're
They're
escalated.
totally
Yeah.
off the charts. So that's one piece just of helping them and around feeding time as well. Like I think we end up in a lot of cycles where horses are kicking stall walls or whatever, pawing, or they're getting so amped up knowing food is coming. And then the food does come and they were like, I was right to be crazy. And so
Look, my craziness brought the
it
food.
totally did. So starting there and really helping humans and horses to calm and settle and know that we can just be here and the food is here and it's a emotional regulation. I just keep saying that like a broken record, but that's what it is around the food. And I think in that learning process, we can start to help horses emotionally regulate in other situations as well. Because if we can do it with the food, and then we can use the food to help them re-find that place of calm when we're spooked by something, or when the tractor drives by, or whatever is going on in the moment. And horses who have been in pain for a long time, which is what I tend to see,
Yep.
are usually wildly dysregulated
Yep.
all the time. Takes very little to set them off. And so having more tools in your toolbox to help them, then you can have a successful training session, but you definitely can't do that if you're just flying a kite because they've been in stall rest and they're just Looney Tunes and their history of pain and now now your exercise program is going to be garbage no matter what, right? So
Yeah.
that that to me
Yeah.
is very, very important. And then my third piece is in training movement. Like what I love about the positive reinforcement is it's doing two things at once. First of all, it's very specific communication. I can click and mark precise moments even when the horse is at the end of a 20-foot lunge line.
Totally.
And when I'm doing that, I'm also classically conditioning that moment with a positive association. So a lot of them are afraid to move in a certain way or worried about tack pinching or worried, whatever they're worried about. By reinforcing those moments with food, I can help to alleviate those worries and bring new positive associations to things and attack it from both of those ends at the same time, which is efficient and feels ethical to me in terms
Yeah.
of just helping them through it in a way that doesn't involve scaring them more. Which is what I felt like I
Yeah.
was doing a lot of times on
Yeah.
accident, just the nature of it before. But
Yeah. Yeah.
and maybe there's a fourth point to add in. I got one more thing to say
Okay.
about that.
Yeah.
I can build in a lot more opportunities to check in for consent. Like I want the whole thing to be consent based, and I was finding myself with my old skill set, pressure and release. I wasn't checking in often enough, and horses would go into just compliant good boy mode, and I wouldn't recognize these subtle moments where I had pushed too far.
Yeah.
They were complying, they were trying, they weren't giving me the big signs, and those were the horses I was taking advantage of because
Yeah.
I didn't see it.
Yeah.
And when I am training loose in a grassy field and they have every opportunity to leave me and go do something easier and tastier, probably, and they don't, that tells me that what I'm doing is appropriate and okay, and they really are on board. And I'm forced to check in all the time because they could leave.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I think what you're speaking of is learned helplessness.
Mhm.
And in
Totally.
body work and rehab, if we're training or treating, I would never treat a human client that was like
Sure.
in a shutdown.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just wouldn't,
Yeah.
right? Like I
Mhm.
hopefully would be able to read the room and
Sure.
and
Sure.
there would be another thing to bring to that space, right?
Hmm.
If they were kind of
Hmm.
evacuating their body every time that I tried to
Yeah.
treat, it would be like,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay, that's not good
Hmm. Yeah.
there
Yeah.
is a dissociation happening when
Exactly.
I'm putting
Exactly.
hands on,
Exactly.
right?
And if
And
your
yeah,
human
so
clients
often
were squirming away from you, you would
completely.
stop. And yet with horses, so often we don't stop.
Or like if a client was like, no, that hurts,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Like we'd be like, okay, like I'm not gonna keep doing that. Maybe like that's probably not a good
Yeah.
idea, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And yet with equine body work, number one, like I feel like if I look back, was I actually trained? Yes, I was trained to ask permission at the beginning of a session and to observe a lot of things. I mean, I
Yeah.
think as body workers, yes, like many of us are trained in a really good way that way, but oftentimes with certain horses, there's much more subtle cues.
And I think
And
we are
yeah,
trained to ignore them. Like through our horsemanship upbringings, I was anyways,
yep,
like just always just being grumpy. And I'm like, well, why is he being grumpy? But for ye most of my life, I never thought anything of that. Just ignore it. Keep carry on. Yeah,
I kind of cringe looking back at some of the horses I've worked on
yeah,
now. Like I just like, oh, like,
yeah.
that are like essentially put in cross ties and told to
Hmm.
stand and take it.
Absolutely.
I'm like,
Absolutely.
okay, that's like, I don't think that this session is going to land maybe in the way that we hoped, if that is how we're doing it.
Yes, fully agree. No, but it's good that we can look back and cringe because that means we're growing, right?
We're
It's
growing and changing and like just a little bit of shame and guilt.
yeah,
Oh,
well, I
yeah.
mean, yeah, that's a constant struggle.
Yeah,
I
right. Little
think
let
everyone can
let
relate to
go,
that.
let go moment. We could all take a deep breath and like let go a little bit and bring some
Mhm.
self-forgiving
Yeah.
because we're
Yeah.
all learning
Yeah.
all the time, right? Yeah, yeah. Yeah, okay. That is very, very helpful. So going back to the horses sort of getting hyper escalated or mugging around food,
Sure.
because I know that this is a big one. When I hear people are like, I don't want to do positive
Yep.
reinforcement, this is like the number one thing.
Yeah. Agree.
They say, I don't want to do positive reinforcement because my horse is going to get crazy about
Yep.
food.
Yep.
And I don't want to create
Hmm.
a monster,
Yeah.
right?
And that's a valid concern because you can
You really
for
can.
sure do that. And yeah, it is the number one resistance I hear to it as well. And it's the reason that I think people try it and then say this doesn't work. This doesn't work for my horse, or this doesn't work at all. Um, And so, yeah, it's really important. And it's something I start from the very first moment that I start introducing the clicker and the food to the horse. This is in the back of my mind from that very first moment, and we carry it through with us. Years into it, you don't have to worry about it so much because it's the horse's default. But there might be moments years into it that you still have to return to that basic to just remind them, and so it's always there. And to me that starts with it's a little mechanical at first, right? It's like making sure that you as the human are doing the mechanics in a way that, first of all, is not making your horse frustrated, and second of all, is not accidentally reinforcing something you didn't mean to because you just didn't realize what was happening. So my number one advice for people is to videotape themselves in the early stages to make sure you can go back and see if you're just doing something you didn't think you were doing, because you'll feel like you're all thumbs because you've got new equipment in your hands. It's
Yeah,
like lunging a horse for the first time and trying to hold the rope and the lunge line, and it's all you feel like you are an octopus with no no idea
totally.
what you're doing. And it can feel the same with the target and the clicker and the food pouch and getting all of that organized. So in the very beginning, all I do is feed them from my hand with my arm fully outstretched in the horse's personal space. I'm gonna feed them on in kind of like a rhythm, and then I'm gonna start to click when they're still in their space and feed them over there. So hopefully in that rhythm, they never have an opportunity to
To turn
come
their head.
mug me. Exactly. And if they do, because it will happen, because horses genetically know to stick their nose in food sources and sniff it out and eat it. Like
Yep.
that's how they find food. They will try that. If I feel safe next to them, I will just block access to my food pouch and wait and be a statue and be as boring as
Yep.
possible. And the moment that they move back away, click feed over there. So we're trying to minimize opportunities to practice the mugging, but if they do, we're not smacking them away. It's just not going to work. That's not what works. And feed when they're back in their space. If a horse already knows to be muggy and is already immediately climbing all over you, I just separate myself with a physical barrier.
Yep.
Stall
Protected
wall, fence
contact.
panel,
Yep.
exactly. And then they cannot climb all over you, and you can create the understanding of put yourself in your own personal space. That's when food comes, and build it there. And then once they get that, you can go back in with them and restart. And
Yeah.
if I do that from day one and incorporate that in between new skills that I'm teaching, I do not have a problem by and large. And you can click moments when they and relax. And you're
Yeah.
like, perfect, that's it. And I'll feed them with their head lower to try to help them relax. And you just be mindful of when you're reinforcing and what the horse is doing and how they're feeling about it. If you click for moments when a horse is doing a big fancy movement but they're very agitated, like you will start to build more and more agitation. But if you click moments when they seem settled and calm and relaxed, you will start to build more moments where they're settled and calm and relaxed. So it does come down to your ability as the trainer to read your horse and see what's going on. And it also comes down to increasing the ask, the criteria that you're looking for, at a speed that keeps the horse understanding what's going on, not too frustrated, not going past their physical ability. And so there's a very much an art to that. You
Yeah.
will be bad at it at first. It's okay.
Yeah, it is
Learning is
totally
messy.
okay.
Learning is messy, and you can always fix things that you mess up. But yeah, if positive reinforcement isn't working for you, it's not because positive reinforcement doesn't work. This is going to be harsh. It's just because you're not good at it yet, and that's okay.
And everybody, I'm not good at it yet.
It's
It's
okay.
okay. And I've been doing it for years.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
I think a
I,
part of it for me is like, I'm definitely a little ADD. And
yeah,
so
yeah,
tracking, like, and my body work background helps me a lot because it definitely helps me to track more. But like even yesterday, I'm looking back, I'm like, oh,
yeah.
when my pony was getting her feet done. And because she's so little, I
Mm,
sometimes will let her mug me because it's just so
yes,
cute and her little
yes,
face.
yes.
And now I'm like,
And then you're like,
ooh,
oops, I fed her right after that.
I totally fed her at the wrong time and she
But
had her
that's the
nose
thing
in my
though, like
treat pouch.
it's okay. It's
It's
okay.
okay.
You noticed it. You try not to do it so much. It's okay. And that it just being okay with being new to something and being okay with knowing that you're not going to do it perfect. Horses are super forgiving, but start with a horse who's maybe not super dysregulated first. Like starting with
Totally.
a really challenging horse who's challenging no matter what type of training you try to do, which is often what people start positive reinforcement with because they are now desperate.
Because they're
Nothing has worked
frustrated
for
and
this.
nothing's working. Yeah.
Nothing's worked for this horse. This horse is so just all over the place. And then they're like, well, clicker training didn't fix it. And I'm like, well, there was like all of this other stuff going
Yeah.
on. Like it will fix it or at least help manage that horse much better over time, but you still got to get through all those layers. But if you
Well,
start with a horse who's calm, happy, easygoing, they're very, very, very forgiving, and it
yeah,
you can feel safe being a little messy with it, and you're not going to mess them up.
totally.
Like my mare, who I say is the reason that I finally like went down this path, I was pretty unsuccessful at training her with positive reinforcement in the beginning because she is difficult and dysregulated, and I wasn't recognizing when I was escalating that with the food, like my timing or whatever I was asking for, or I was expecting too much or whatever it was. And so I kind of stopped for a few years and I was like, we'll just press pause on that. Maybe it doesn't work for her, right? Which
Yeah.
is crazy because she's the reason, anyways. And so now recently that I've had so much more experience, I am able to do it with her and I am being successful now. And so that's because I was bad at it. I didn't have the tools.
Yeah.
I didn't have as many tools in my toolbox and that's okay. Now I do, and now we'll do
Yeah.
better.
Amazing. I really love that reflection because I think number one, what I'm realizing is like it is not very common to find a trainer, first of all.
Mm,
Like even up here, we have lots of trainers and most of them are not positive reinforcement trainers, like
yeah,
absolutely not. So to actually have a trainer where you can go and find
mm,
a horse who's done positive
yeah,
reinforcement and understands the skill set and like is regulated
yeah.
and right? Like I don't know that
Pretty
horse.
impossible. Yeah,
Like, you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sure they're out there, but
Hmm.
like it's a tricky start
Yeah,
because very often there's lots of horses out there that negative reinforcement works for and they're very
yeah,
well
for sure.
dialed into that and it's and you can go to a lesson program and learn the aids and the things and the whatever.
Yeah,
um but yeah, just having this like, oh yeah,
doesn't
like
exist.
it does not
I
exist.
I think there's a handful of folks now doing it, but if you
Yeah,
don't have someone near you, like you then are relying on online coaching, which,
videos
you
and
know,
online
some of us
coaching.
can do, but not everyone has access to, and it's a little bit more challenging than having,
Yeah.
and then you're working with your own horses, which may or may not be easy to start with, and
Especially if they've been trained so differently their whole life, right? Like my mare
yeah,
Diva, negative reinforcement for 20 odd years of our
Hmm.
relationship. And I was one of
Yeah,
those ones. I was like, no, this doesn't work for her because she'd get so escalated around
sure,
food
sure.
because she was not well regulated.
Yeah.
And so I was like, no, this is not a thing. And then it
Mm-hmm.
was later on that I was like, oh yeah, it actually is a thing. When I
Yeah.
was doing things like deworming, for
Mm.
example. I will never deworm without positive reinforcement
Yeah.
again because why would you? It is
Yeah.
so much more effective.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and you're like, okay, I have to squirt this stuff in your mouth that tastes awful. It's going to be unfun no matter what,
Unfun. Yeah,
right? It by
totally.
nature is not fun.
You
So if
already
I,
have a negative
yeah,
thing in your head
yeah.
about this tube.
Why would I not try to counterbalance that with something to make it more tolerable?
Totally.
Because yeah, you squirt that nasty stuff in their mouth, and the next time you come out, then it's harder and harder and harder and harder because they know it's
Completely.
coming.
Yeah.
Yeah,
20 years later, it was like her head would fling up, and I'm like, why is she getting worse at
right?
this?
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah. She's learning.
she's
They're
learning.
smarter than us. Yeah.
She's like, that sucks, and you
Uh-huh.
need to stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that brings
Yeah.
something really important up. Like, if we can train them in a way that gives them the ability to consent and makes it worth it to them, they will tolerate stuff
Totally.
is not fun. Like injections, oral medication,
Hoof
eye
trimming.
medication, hoof
Yep.
trim, stuff that is going to not be super fun for them in the best case scenario. If they can feel agency over it and know that if we push too hard, like we will back off and listen if they tell us they need to stop, then they will tolerate so much more. And I think there's a part of our human nature and how we've been conditioned that we don't think that that's true.
Yeah.
Where we
Yeah.
just have to show them who's boss and force
Without
it, or
getting a
they would
fight.
never consent to what
Right.
so just trying to change people's minds about what is possible like feels like a
Yeah.
big part of this because I didn't know it either until
Yeah.
5 years ago, right? Like
Totally.
why would everybody? But yeah.
I really want to come back to that fight piece because that's been something
Yeah.
like that's coming to mind these last few days. I had a client on the table. She's like, I feel like I'm fighting myself and
Mm.
fighting everything. And I was like, I know that feeling because I've been there too.
Sure.
And I think that one of the things we've learned in horsemanship, and I remember starting to unpack this belief in myself, is that like we need to fight
Mm.
for us to get what we want, or we
Sure.
need to it needs to be hard for it to be
Mhm.
good, or
Yeah.
like there's these kind
Yeah.
of like
Mm.
bigger picture things around. And I get it, like in the horse world we pride ourselves on being gritty and
Yeah,
tough
for
and
sure.
strong and all of those things, but then it can so often translate into the way we train our horses, and we end up making things way harder, is what I see,
Yeah,
than they need to be.
absolutely. Absolutely. And it brings me like I see stuff in the horse world and then I'm like, it's kind of like the whole world sometimes. Like just the need to dominate, the need to be in control because we only think we're in control of a situation if we are dominant and can micromanage every last piece. And really, like, but by being a partner with our horse, like if you're really a partner with your horse, they have a say and they have their own ideas and they are a part of this, but hopefully we are cooperating. And this like it this comes up for me a lot, this like feeling of winning or losing in a situation with horses.
Yes.
Like don't let him win.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we are a team supposedly, right? Like if one of us wins, we both win.
Yeah.
If one of us loses, we both lose. Like if we are a team, w- there's no he wins, I win. It just doesn't work. But that's so deeply ingrained in my horsemanship past, and I assume other people's too.
Wow. That's a good one. I had never thought of that, but it's so true.
Kills me.
Oh. Yeah. And you know, when we start to like dismantle, because like these are the like these things hang out like deep in the
Oh
cellular
yeah.
memory. Like this is
You're
stuff that's
you're not
passed down.
consciously thinking of this. It's just
This
there.
is generational
Mhm.
shizzle. Like this
For sure.
is going back and back and back, right?
For sure.
And so we've got like, yeah, I'm sort of reflecting on, yeah, this is big work. This is
It's
big
hard.
work, you
It's hard.
know?
And then it's hard for the owners too, right? Like it's hard for us as the practitioner
Yeah,
bringing it to the owner, and then the owner has to unpack it. And some people are not ready to. And then I can't, I'm limited in what I can offer to those folks and their horses. And that's another conversation about learning to be okay with that. And
that's
that's
a big
hard.
one.
I don't know if we want to go down that path or not. But, like recognizing that it is that big, it it's
Well,
world view kind of stuff.
I was gonna
And
say
that's
it comes back like
hard.
that. How you do one thing is how you do everything.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
unpack your, it feels like, oh, I'm just unpacking my
Mhm.
horsemanship.
Yeah. You're
But
like,
all of a
okay.
sudden, it's like I'm looking at all of my relationships
Yeah.
differently, and then my life differently, and then like the world different.
Yeah.
Oh
Then
boy.
I'm like, maybe I need a therapist instead.
Then I need a therapist, and then I need a, oh gosh, who knows what?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because it is. It's like kind of the thread that
Yeah, it
starts to
keeps pulling.
unravel the rest
Keeps
in a way.
pulling. Yeah. And then people feel alone because, like you're bringing up, they're the only one in their area trying to do
Oh my
things
gosh.
differently,
The
whether that's
only
for
one in their
training
barn.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then everyone's telling you that you should be doing it the old way or whatever advice they have for you. And that's super isolating. So that is one thing I'm very grateful for the internet for,
Oh, thank
is
goodness,
the
right?
ability to like bring distant folks together to have some community.
Yep.
But at the same time, I fully recognize that some folks are resistant to positive reinforcement training, specifically on the internet, because people then come after them telling them they're not positive enough or they're not far enough along on this journey to sit in our club, which is its own problem too. But, there is some good stuff out there and we do have connections.
Hmm.
That's something I'm always trying to build because I recognize how isolating it is. And hopefully it won't be forever because hopefully we will spread this and more people will be walking down this path. But for now, anyways.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely, I mean, as someone who has built a community over the years, through the whole horse apprenticeship,
Mm-hmm,
I hear
hmm.
it all the time. It's like I'm the only person in my barn. I'm the only person in my area
Yep.
that's thinking this way. And like that's tough because you feel legitimately, you're like, am I crazy? Like doing this stuff, right?
Yeah,
Like,
you're still a beginner in this stuff, and then you're not able to implement it perfectly all the time, and then you're like, am I failing because I'm wrong or because it's just new? And I yeah, it's
yeah,
hard. Without a
it's
community, it's really hard.
definitely. Oh, so I want to come back to that little comment earlier because I
Mhm.
think let's open the can of worms. We got a
Okay,
few
let's do
minutes
it.
for
Let's
it.
do it.
Because it is really important as a body worker, to look at, okay, yeah, I'm working with this client and their horse, and
Mhm.
we've kind of reached the edge
Sure,
of where
sure,
the person maybe wants to
sure.
move
Mhm.
or grow to.
Yeah.
What do you do in those sorts of scenarios? Because I'm sure every body worker listening is like, oh my God, this happens to me all the time.
Yes. And I'm gonna preface this by saying I don't know that what I do is the right answer. So
Yeah.
let's get that out of the way first. What I used to do, well, maybe we'll start with what I used to do. What I used to do was continue working with those people and try to shut down the part of myself that was screaming every
Yep.
time.
Hmm.
And I did that for a few years and I was utterly miserable and just deeply frustrated by those situations because I could see the path forward and I couldn't take it. And it just like emotionally just wore me out. And so I was like, okay, gotta do something different about this. And so what I try to do now is be very upfront with folks about what I'm seeing, what I think needs to change and why, and also try to explain how if we don't make those changes, then I am now unable to help you more. And so I might refer you to someone else who's more aligned with the path that you're on. Because again, I think my path is right. That's why I'm on it, but I have been wrong before, so I'm not gonna force anyone down my path who doesn't feel like it's right for them either. Because it's not fun convincing people to stick with you when they're not bought in either. It's just
Yeah.
not worth it. That is scary as someone who needs money to live and provide for their family and animals. And, being okay with letting clients go who aren't ready for what you have to offer is scary. But it is the number one best thing I've ever done for my
Yep.
own mental health. And by doing that, I find more and more people who are truly looking for every bit of what I'm offering because what I'm putting out there into the universe is clear. Like now, the people that find me, their horses need physical help. They want the R plus. They want this journey into unpacking their whole worldview.
Yeah.
They're cool with that. And that is rewarding to me as the person helping them, and they are happier with what I'm offering because we can go all in.
Wow.
So that's my maybe best piece of advice for especially for newer folks is to trust that that will work.
Yeah. Yeah. And that also it is okay to set
Yeah.
um I don't know if I want to call them boundaries, but like
Yeah.
set something that is right. This is what is
Yeah.
right for me. This is who I want to work with.
Yeah.
I don't have to work with everyone. I
Yeah.
mean, you can. I mean, I know I think at the
Yeah.
beginning of most of our careers, we just
You just have to.
take whatever comes, right? And it's tough. It
Uh-huh.
is tough because yeah, I remember I was doing like my program included a lot of energy medicine and various
Mhm.
things. And of course, tons of skeptics.
Yeah,
Like it
for
was
sure.
like, oh my gosh, okay, this is challenging.
Yeah.
And then eventually this sense of, okay, I can start to really dial in about who I
Yeah.
want to be working with. Now, that said, I am still horrible at like even considering letting go of
Yeah.
clients. I'm just
Yeah.
more hope that they just kind of like find
I
their
know.
way out.
That's probably a more honest answer for how I approach it most of the time. Well, and I find that if I have a really honest conversation, that's hard for me to like dig
So
in the moment
tough.
and say it to someone's face. But to be able to say it, be honest, and then usually if they heard that and they weren't into it, they do just kind of disappear. It's not like it doesn't have to be a fight. And again, like it doesn't have to be a harsh boundary. It's just that gentle for yourself, keep your own energy safe and know when you might need to just back away, especially emotionally, with how attached I think most of us get to our equine clients. That can be
Yeah.
really,
Well,
really tricky.
that is such a hard part for me. And I think it may be like when I kind of really sit with, because I've moved a lot away from working on horses.
Mhm.
I have an almost entirely human practice now in osteopathy. And a part of it was this piece because I
Yeah,
would work, I worked at a couple of bigger facilities in our community and I just couldn't deal anymore with what
yeah,
was happening. I just like every time I would go out, I felt like I was just like, here's some duct tape here and
yeah, well, for
here's
sure.
some duct tape there and
And there is nothing that is
good
like the
luck,
worst
little friend.
feeling.
Like I
Oh,
wish you
yeah,
well.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
in the horse keeping and the riding structure and the all these things that I can't
yeah,
control or change in this
yeah.
space.
But the other thing I want to say to this point is that like having like first of all practicing your ability to say what you need to say, but feeling comfortable and true to yourself and confident in what
Mhm.
you believe to be true enough to have those tough conversations. Sometimes you'll be really surprised and people do want to
Yep.
continue and change and they just needed you to lay it out. Like sometimes people are done and we you know walk different paths, but sometimes people who I were sure were gonna think I was nuts actually were like, oh, okay, now that you've said it in a way I could understand it and very clearly laid it out, I do want what's best for my horse. I'm willing to give this a shot, and then we can
Yeah.
continue on. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's
I
scary and it's hard, and I
Sir,
think a lot of us
yeah.
as women especially kind of avoid confrontation. We've been trained to do that,
We've
I
been
think so.
well conditioned
Yeah.
to avoid that.
Yeah.
I
So,
I do have a question about the horse piece of that because
sure.
when we kind of, since we're working with the collective of horses,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to like zoom out into this sort of more spiritual lens, shall we
Yeah.
say, of like, I'm sure you've had those horses. Well, I'm not sure, but I know I've had those horses that it's like, I need to keep working with this horse because my karma and my path and my commitment to this horse is important in this moment.
Yeah.
Even though, there's these other
Yeah, it's
pieces that are just
imperfect. Yeah.
not
Yeah.
working.
Yeah. Mhm.
Do you know what I'm saying?
I do. I have those examples. I have many of them. And again, I think those horses, they're in our life for a purpose. They're either teaching us a lesson or we
Mhm.
together are helping teach their person a lesson or helping guide them to something. Because again, you're going to have imperfect clients. Most people will be imperfect clients, and that doesn't mean you should never work with them. Like maybe you get them to a point they never would have gotten before, and then we're not going to go further, but we've opened a door for them and
Totally.
they can continue, you know, however they need to. So those horses, I feel like if you're feeling like I need to stay involved, then I would listen to that. And I have listened to that in the past. And I have one in my herd right now who is was a client's horse and now
Your
is
horse.
is my horse for that reason. Like we were kind of stuck
Yeah,
and and
I
things
have one of those too.
things weren't progressing, and for whatever reason I was like, I will take her, and now she's here and she's perfect and I love her, but you can't do that with all of them. I wish I could, right? It's
No,
crazy. There's a limit.
there's a
Set
limit.
boundaries for yourself for the time you have in a day, but
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I totally understand that. Yeah. And
it's
yeah, there are
hard.
those
You're
horses.
you're 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 helping humans and horses, and sometimes they're their needs are different and your ties to them feel different. And how do you navigate that? I don't always know. It's complicated.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing that I try to prescribe by is to be fluid. Like it's kind of
Yeah.
like even in my work, like in osteopathy, it's like we create fluidity, we create adaptability and more of this
Mhm.
sense of being, can the body be resilient
Yeah.
in the flux and
Yeah.
the flow, right? Especially right now in this world that
Yeah.
we're in. It's like, okay, can this body, this being, this
Mm.
mind, this whatever actually kind of have the capacity to do all the things?
Yeah.
And yeah, I think I try to come to my horse clients and other people
Mm.
that way of like,
Yeah.
I need to be fluid and
Yep.
non-judgmental
Yep.
around
Yep.
how they're doing things in this moment because
For
it
sure.
can change.
For sure.
And it may, and everybody's got their own pace,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
This
Absolutely.
this
And
sense of one person might be like, I'm doing all the things,
yeah.
and another is like, that's gonna take me
Uh-huh.
some
Uh-huh.
time.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And I love what you said there about can we be resilient? Can't like we're working with horses and people who have baggage of all different kinds, and it's so easy, especially it's easy to get fixated on the horses, the diagnosis, what we know is wrong with them, the problem, when instead if we can shift that focus to what you're saying of can we be resilient? Can we do this? What are we capable of in this moment? And keep our focus there, then we are often surprised by how much they are capable of and how much we can do. And just yeah, where you put your energy matters, I think. And if it's always in what's wrong, what's wrong, what's wrong, what's wrong in any context, it's really hard to get better.
I don't know if it's possible to get better, honestly, in that
Yeah.
space,
Yeah. Mm-mm.
right? If you're focused on what's broken,
Yeah.
yeah, and what needs to be fixed. Well, for me, it's always like I've really tried to see the strength, the power,
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
wholeness
Hmm.
and I fail at this absolutely
Oh, me too.
all
We
the
weren't gonna
time.
lie. I'm not perfect.
All the time. Oh my gosh. And then I'm like, catch myself. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh crap, I'm looking at the
Yeah.
problem. I'm,
Yeah.
I just did a
Like,
course in
you need to be
osteopathy and
aware,
my
but
trainer would come over and be like, yep, you're on the lesion. I was like, you not again, like it's so easy to get
yeah.
drawn in because
Yeah.
it's like watching a train wreck. It's like
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
like coming off of the essence into the lesion. Okay, come back to the bigger picture. Like, what is
Yeah.
the truest expression of this being, of
Hmm.
this moment, of this partnership, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And seeing, holding that as the fulcrum, as we say
Hmm.
in
Yeah.
osteopathy,
For
right?
sure. For sure.
Mm.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that feeling. So we're starting to close our time together. Any last like nuggets of wisdom here that you
Mm.
have?
Uh, I think if people could take one thing away from the message that I want to put out there, it's, and I don't know if I can say this in a nice, tidy way, so you guys bear with me. What I want to say is that if your horse is telling you something, if they're saying no, if you're getting a gross feeling in the pit of your stomach about something, like listen to that because that they're telling you something. It does matter. And folks get into trouble when they ignore that or
Mhm.
the horse is saying no and we're just blasting through that. It's the same when you get that icky feeling and you just ignore it. So trust yourselves there and you'll find the people to help.
I love that. Yeah, I was giggling because I had like a really funny memory of Diva and I once upon a time, that same message.
Yeah.
I had decided that it was a really good idea to ride her in from the field bareback with a
Uh-huh.
lead rope on,
Uh-huh.
as one
A
does.
glorious idea.
Amazing idea, but I had this voice in my head that was like,
Mm,
you shouldn't ride her right now.
yeah.
And it was like dusk time. And I
Yeah.
was like, it's
Yeah.
beautiful, it's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
And the little voice was like, you should get
Yeah.
off now. You've all heard that voice. And I was like, no, it's fine. And then all of a sudden we rode past this pond
Mm,
and a massive blue heron flew out of the
no.
pond like 10 feet away.
Yeah.
And I just lost my horse. Like she's
Yep.
black and she's just gone. And I ended up in the mud, like literally
No.
from my top of my head to my butt was just, thank God, like I landed in mud. That's probably a good way to do it.
What
Like it
a
was like a
cheeky
cushion.
little message from the
It
universe.
was so
Like,
cheeky.
you're okay, but you're totally covered in
And
mud.
the barn owner, I'm like trying to talk to the barn owner and I'm like turning away. Like nothing happened, nothing to see here.
That's
And after that, I
fabulous.
was like, okay, yeah, you
Yeah.
should probably listen to those little voices in your head when they say, maybe you should do this now. So
Uh-huh.
yeah, that's a pretty funny story though. It'll always make me
Yeah.
giggle.
Yeah.
Good
No, that's great.
advice.
It's
Good
great.
advice. Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much. It's been
Thank
such a
you.
pleasure today
Yeah.
to chat with you. I knew it would be, but it's been like even more.
Oh, that makes me so happy. Yeah, this was just an absolute joy for me. So thank you.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Anytime. Come back
Oh,
anytime.
I too.
And I want to just thank Sandra Wallen and Kim McElroy with your Council of Horses deck because this card was
Mm,
just perfect today. It felt
yeah,
like it just brought a
perfect.
real sense of like this whole community of horses that's
Mhm.
like, hey, get this message out there. We want you to say this thing. So
Yeah, I love that.
feeling
That makes
that
me feel very good.
and grateful for that. And hopefully, for all you listening, there was some sort of tidbit or some sort of nugget of gold in there that you can take away and bring to your crews, your herds, and your horse journey. And yeah, Barbara and I are here to help. So if you've got questions, please reach out. Barbara, how do people get in touch with you?
Yeah, I'm e kind of easy to find. I'm the horse PT on all the social media things, so that's probably the easiest way. And my website's drbarbaraparks.com, so that's hopefully fairly easy to remember too. But
Amazing.
yeah.
So go check her out, follow her, and do the things because yeah, I just love the work that you're doing and it's very inspiring. I'm going to continue my journey in positive reinforcement and
Here to
hopefully get
help.
good at
Here
it
to
one of
help
these
if you need it.
days.
Anytime.
Awesome.
Anytime.
I appreciate it. Okay, everyone. Thanks for listening in today. We'll talk with you very, very soon. Bye for now. Have you had a chance to check out Outside the Box Equine yet? I hope you pop over and explore the page outsidetheboxequine.com where you'll find all my online courses as well as Nicole Jory's Hoof Care Fundamentals course, which is getting rave reviews. If you've ever wanted to learn about applied kinesiology and applying it to animals, that is also the place to go for my kinetic communication online course. This is a course format that I've been teaching for almost 20 years, and it's been popular with hundreds of folks and helped folks to learn all about applied kinesiology and how to use it as a communication tool with their horses and animals. So head over, check it out. Love to know what you think. All right, have a great day. Bye for now.